But it was. Because they all thought they could all build industry and we were all gonna get rich and famous and business was gonna come to town.
Sure,
No, this is a farming community, it's gonna steal from.
yes, yes. Are you ready to launch, Mr. Hurley?
Once I get my
Get your
stuff
documents?
together here.
All right.
Who's fighting back there? Jerry? Jerry?
I haven't seen you guys in a while. Glad to have a full house tonight.
Yes,
I called Canaan Map Planning Commission to order at 6:02. We stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I'd like to have a moment of silence, please, for my father-in-law, Jose Gonzalez, who passed away on Wednesday at the age of 99. Thank you.
Roll call. Planning Commissioner Greg Hearn.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Sandra Davis.
here,
Planning Commissioner Jim Adams.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Steve Smith.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Jason Morrow.
Here.
All are present.
Everybody had a chance to read the last minutes from the
mhm,
May 15th.
yes.
Any additions or corrections?
That's good.
Okay. I entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the May 15th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Motion
Second,
been made, seconded. We approved the minutes from the last meeting. All approved, say aye.
I,
Okay. Periodic update. Okay, guess you're up.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Byron Gums. I'm with the Yakima Valley Conference of Governments. We're the organization that is working on the Growth Management Act periodic update for the city of Mapton. Just a quick recap, the periodic update takes a look at the state law, the Growth Management Act, and some of the things it requires the city to have. So you have a comprehensive plan. You have several development regulations. You have a zoning ordinance, a subdivision ordinance, and a critical area ordinance. And those all fall under the umbrella of the Growth Management Act. The periodic update takes place every 10 years. And what it does is it looks at a lot of but the changes that have been made to the Growth Management Act since the last periodic update has been done, and make sure that the comprehensive plan and then your ordinances reflect what the state law requires at a minimum. And we're starting the second year of that. The first year was looking at the population forecast for the city, looking at, there's the periodic update checklist. There's one for the comprehensive plan and the development regulations, and then there's a second one for the critical areas ordinance. So we've gone through all of those. And I have a handful of things to give you in addition to what was in your packets. There's just a couple of things I want to go over. I'd like to get your opinion on a question or a request that I have. And then just kind of outline what the next year to year and a half is going to look like, because with as much work as we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking smaller bites of it and making changes to some of the elements or chapters within the comprehensive plan and bringing them in front of you so you can see what those proposed edits are. And then once we get into some of the goals and policies and the development regulations, we would be seeking feedback from the city on certain things that you may or may not want to see in the code anymore. So for example, if you remember with the subdivisions we've been processing lately, a lot of them have been requesting not to have to build alleyways because your code requires alleyways to be built. So changing the language to make that something where it's not a requirement. But then there's also the opportunity to change things like your minimum lot size. Right now in your residential districts, 4,000 square feet is your minimum lot size, which is quite small. And if you wanted to make those a little bit larger, that's an option. So it's just looking at the different parts of your code that that show up in how your city looks. We'll be able to make some changes to those to reflect what the ultimately city council and the mayor would like to see. But the planning commission is the advisory body, the advisory board to city council and the mayor. So you're kind of the eyes and the ears and the voice of the community as well. That being said, I'll pass these handouts out real quick and then I'll come back here and get to it.
I have them all. I have them all.
I got one.
Thank you.
Not for everybody this time.
You kids want them too? Or you busy on TikTok? So long. Who's babies?
Okay, so one of the things that I printed off here, the first couple of sheets are the city zoning and then the county zoning within your urban growth area. About 10 years ago, if you look at the sheet that has a lot of the green on it, that purple area to the south was brought in to the urban growth area. There was a swap that was done, and that was zoned M1 light industrial with the anticipation of, I think, a larger agricultural operation going in there. That never materialized. Recent development that we've been seeing the subdivisions kind of clustered around Arts Fox Elementary School and in that area. If you look on the city of Mapton map, the New Beginnings subdivision is this larger yellow piece sandwiched between the two blue. So I don't know if you can read it, but where is it here? Not Old High School, to High School Road, and then Euclid. It's showing up as Washington on this for some reason. But Euclid and High School Road, there's that big blank square here that in 2015, that was removed from your urban growth area. I'd like to take some land from the industrial and move it back up here. So the way that the urban growth areas are intended to be sized is for 20 years worth of population growth. And that's another little bit of a sticky wicket that I'll get into in a second. But because you have more than that 20 years worth of growth within your urban growth area, you can't just add to your urban growth area. You have to move it around. You can do land swaps with it. So the way that the parcels are set up in that industrial area, the very southeastern one, that's kind of the dog leg, that's about 50 acres. And I believe that the piece of land immediately to the east of that New Beginnings subdivision is about 40 acres. So it's a net decrease of 10 acres in your urban growth area, which doesn't affect your bottom line at this time. But something like that is what's needed in order for a swap to happen. You can go the opposite direction, go from a 40-acre lot to a 50-acre lot, because that'd be increasing the size of your UGA. But if you recall with that New Beginning plat, we did the right of way and the half road along the eastern boundary. And by bringing that into your urban growth area and having it zoned for eventual residential development, when the property owner feels like they are willing to either develop or sell to a developer, would allow for that other right of way to be dedicated and that full north-south street to be built. So that's something that the county is going to be reaching out to city staff and the mayor to have a meeting on their urban growth area report that they've been working on. And it's at that time is when the conversation would be had to propose that urban growth area boundary revision. At that same meeting, there'll be a discussion of if the existing zoning in your urban growth area, the map with all the green on it, inside that red line is your urban growth area. And there's a requirement that the county and the city agree on what that zoning is. I'm not aware of any needed changes to that, but I just wanted to make you aware of that conversation. And when the county finishes their UGA report and their recommendations, they bring it in front of their planning commission. And ultimately it goes in front of the Board of County Commissioners because the urban growth area is under the county's jurisdiction. But if it's something where, for example, you see industrial lands and you think they're better served by being commercial or residential or something like that, and the county disagrees, we would be preparing our own staff report and our own recommendations to be given to the Board of County Commissioners at their hearing to advocate for what the city would like to see, but ultimately it is the Board of County Commissioners' decision. So I guess I'll just pause for a second for any sort of discussion that you may want to have. I'd like to propose that. It's not something that we have to do, but from looking at the last few years of the residential development that map to the
What
sea.
exactly is your proposal? Did you repeat the?
Sure, yeah, and let me point it out.
On it here.
So there's a parcel down here in the purple, it's
Okay.
50 acres in size. I want to remove that from the urban growth area,
All right.
and I want to take that area and bring it to this location here. So this larger yellow lot is New Beginnings. So that's the edge of the city limits and the urban growth boundary. I'd like to have the urban growth boundary be expanded here to include this parcel. So it could be annexed into the city and developed for
Okay.
residential lots.
Just so you know, Orchard Street becomes Euclid as soon as it gets outside town.
Oh, I see.
So it's not mislabeled.
Okay, so it is Washington.
Yes.
It's just right at the city limits.
Yes.
Thank you. I did not know that. I appreciate that. Does anybody else, do you want me to walk down and show it on the map here?
Yeah, I see it.
I think it's something definitely should be done, but industrial thing got really out of whack 15 years ago. And we finally got it back down to where it's sort of reasonable, but all that south of here doesn't make sense. That does. The only thing that I would suggest is you said the zoning needs to stay the same. I don't think the R10-5 is appropriate. If it's in the urban growth area, I think it ought to be down to R1, R2.
Correct. If it's brought into the urban growth boundary, we would designate it residential and have it be R1.
Yeah.
But it would be county R1, not city
That's
R1
fine,
until
but
it's
if I
annexed.
leave it R5, R10.
That is correct.
then
And
you can change.
yes, sir. And we wouldn't be allowed to do that because we don't, R10-5 isn't an urban zoning district. It's a rural district. So I don't believe that if it were brought into the urban growth area, it could remain R10-5. It would have to be residential. So
What is in this area right now?
just, it's active agriculture.
It's
It's,
just
it's being farmed.
it's being farmed.
Yes.
It's a cornfield.
Now, does it make any difference where you zone or this?
We would notify them that
Okay.
we're proposing the change. We wouldn't do it with behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And we would propose that and let them, actually, the county would send them a letter saying that there are proposed changes to the city of Mapton's urban growth boundary that impact you. And they would, the property owner would then be able to go to the county meetings because it is that county decision.
Mhm.
But on the city side, we would propose that, we would have that as our recommendation. And then we would want to have a, resolution from the planning commission as well as city council supporting that proposed change if county staff chooses to do so. If county staff chooses not to do this, I would like to prepare a recommendation to the effect of making that switch. Because it's, in my opinion, in the best interest of Mapton, because it.
No. You're asking us to vote right now on that.
Nope, it's just informational. I'm just bringing it to your attention and trying to get a feel of the water, you know, see if it's something that planning commission would be in support of. Cause we haven't seen the county's urban growth area staff report yet, where they have gone through and done their analysis.
How much of the industrial area would we swap for that?
You talked about lot this part on,
Yes,
and adding this part.
it would be,
I'll just walk to the front and show.
it's important to have everybody on the same page. So this little little 50-acre dogleg parcel down here in the purple, the very far southeastern part of it would be removed and likely turned back into agricultural zoning,
Just that one parcel.
just that one parcel. And then it would be moved. Your urban growth boundary would be reduced to
All your,
this parcel
this
here.
property line right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So it would be, this
Yeah.
parcel here would be removed,
And what was in that effect?
and then this one would be added. So this one, I don't remember exactly, but it's about 50 acres, and this one's about 40 acres.
Okay, so we gained 10 acres in the urban growth area.
Lose 10 acres.
Lose.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That way,
Yep.
we're dyslexic
Yep.
when we get the change.
Because,
Don't laugh.
the only way to expand your urban growth boundary without a swap is to show that you don't have the capacity for 20 years worth of population growth. And you have plenty of.
Let's see the map sheet. Okay, this is right here, that's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And I don't go for fields. No, no. It goes out.
Which one?
40 is the
40 you're
one to
adding,
be,
50 we're.
50 is the one that is.
50 is the one that goes away.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take you to Legends with me.
What was that?
No. Start doing Zoom things.
So.
They used to record these all the time.
So you're right, adjacent.
Yeah.
Why don't we put them in there?
Thank God.
You know, I'm thinking right off. That if something happens, where at least we can provide water that should be there. That's how here, it's being controlled.
Yeah, and that's how the growth management stuff's supposed to happen, is population growth for those city services are.
You're not supposed to laugh.
You have a blinking light.
No, I certainly don't have a problem.
Okay.
Oh, so moving on?
Yeah.
Okay, the next, couple of things are just a couple of staff reports that we prepared as a result of some of the data that we gathered. When the county comes to talk to the city about that urban growth area staff report, when they were coming up with their population projections, how that works is they look at the last 10 years worth of census data. And they look at, they call it the average annual growth rate, and it's a percentage. And they apply that to your existing population as of 2023 or 24, I believe. And Mapton had a negative population growth rate over the last 10 years, according to the US Census. And the county reached out and was unable to have a meeting with the mayor and city staff. And because that negative growth rate wasn't corrected, the county went ahead and applied a negative growth rate to the city. So they have, it's a 20-year population projection. And if you look at the one page, the last one without a staple, it shows you that over the next 20 years, your population is predicted to be 1,504, so losing about 440 people. You and I know that's not accurate. We have 52 lots that we just approved. There's an existing subdivision that somebody's looking at finishing up, which would be an additional 35 lots, as well as the area that we processed that rezone for. They have a subdivision that we are processing for them. In fact, there's a hearing next month on that. So that's going to be up to an additional 25 apartments for each parcel, maybe. So 175, 200, depending if that's a good spot for a well and so forth. So we know this numbers aren't right. So we're going to try and work with the county to correct those and make it more
You know,
realistic.
Greg and I were talking, we've been on this planning commission for many years. And people have come to us and they want building. They have a place to build and they have plans and all that kind of stuff. But we have yet to see a house built.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I know that we did some work with water and sewer up on Third Street, was it, or Third Avenue? So people are getting the utilities in the ground. I think that for Genoa's Paradise, which is the one out on High School Road, I know that his engineer contacted Jamin from Grand Osborne, so the wheels are turning. They're just slow.
Is it up to Mapton to get these corrected with the county?
So it's a county decision, so it's something that, I tried to coordinate a meeting and it wasn't able to happen. When the county issued their population projections, because it's a report that has all the cities, there's a table and I can forward that along to Bonnie and Jerry in order to pass along to you. But all the other jurisdictions, because there were several other ones that had a negative growth rate, Wapato, I think Hera may have had a negative growth rate. And what we did is we adjusted it to be like 0.25, a quarter of a percentage point worth of growth, just so there were an increase of people that were going to be in the city. And it lends credence to when we're looking at developing water and sewer plans that we're going to have an increasing population. So we need to be planning for additional water rights and capacity in your water treatment plant and capital facilities as far as road maintenance and road maintenance budgets and so on and so forth. Because if you're shrinking with people, I mean, that's less people living in a house, there's less sales tax revenue, it kind of snowballs.
These numbers affect an awful lot of stuff, and they need to be corrected. And
Yeah,
just because Mapton doesn't want to meet with the county, that's kind of
And-
unacceptable.
Right,
Because this affects everything we do with development and
And-
grants and,
Yes, sir.
infrastructure, the whole thing.
yes, sir. So the
Maybe I don't understand.
So the process is going to be having that meeting with the county. So their reports are finalized, but the UGA staff report has not been finalized yet. And the comprehensive plans and things like that have not been updated and adopted yet. So there is opportunity to correct the ship, as it were. And we'll be working on doing that because, I mean, I don't want to disparage anybody. So I think that there's just lack of communication, that we can make sure we are able to get together and sit around a table and have the conversation and let county staff know that these numbers aren't acceptable and they need to be reflective of the change that we're seeing. Because, and I'm trying to, let's see, I think in the land capacity analysis, we have, let's see here. Yeah, on the bottom of that first page, it says Mapton's average number of people per household is 4.43. So let me get my calculator out here. So just for example, with the New Beginning subdivision, I think that was 31 lots. I think Genoa's Paradise was 21. The Parker Estates is 35. So right there, there's 87 lots that we know in existing subdivisions. So if we multiply that by 4.43, once that gets completely built out, that's 385 people. So you're going up by this 1% a year or so. If those are all built out, and who knows what the market's going to do with interest rates and everything, but.
Progress in Mountain has all been slow but steady.
So, we do need to correct that. And that's something that, when I was listening into the county's planning commission and they were introducing those population projection numbers, some of those planning commission members were questioning Mapton here, because they're like, that's not appropriate to have a negative growth rate where they're losing 400 some people. So the planning commission realizes that it needs to be corrected. I would imagine that the county could amend their population projections, and that would change some of these things. So the land capacity analysis, what that is it looks at, I mentioned that 4.43. So we look at the population growth that's predicted over the next 20 years and how many acres of land for residential development are needed in order to fit that increased population. We look at the same sort of a thing for commercial and industrial lands. It's a slightly different formula where we just look at what's existing in the city and divide that by the population. So it may end up being 0.005 acres of commercial land per person. So you just multiply that out and you end up needing an extra or 5 acres of land, or just pulling numbers out. But that's what this land capacity analysis is. But I just wanted to bring these things to your attention, and it's something that we will be having discussions with the county on coming up as part of that urban growth area report, because that's where they combine their land capacity analysis information with the zoning that they've identified in that urban growth area. And then on this single sheet here, there's the housing allocation with the negative population growth. County said you didn't need any housing allocation, which we know that to not be accurate. But what the housing allocation is, the state law recently changed where previously it read that the city's required to consider housing for people at different income levels. Now the city's required to identify and plan for housing for different people at those income levels. So lower income households, it's typically identified as apartments, maybe smaller townhomes or condos or something like that, that are the type of housing that's affordable for people in that income level. So we would need to look at Mapton's codes to see if there are provisions to allow for apartments to be built here, and if there's enough land to accommodate the number of households that fall within these different income bands. And that's kind of explained in a narrative on the back here, that single sheet. So with the changing population projections, the housing allocation would also change. That being said, with the amount of land that you have zoned for residential purposes, both as single family and the higher density zoning like we just did with the, what was the name of that rezone? Drawing a blank, should remember this. The one right above Arts Fox School that we just processed. I can't think of the name of it, but that got zoned to R2, so that allows for those apartments to be built, so you have the capacity.
Talking about.
Yes,
Seriously, are they?
yes.
Test
Yeah, they
well
have a,
drilled there.
they have a,
A test well drilled there, but they said they were.
they have a preliminary plat submitted, and it's going to be, September 18th, I think, is the hearing. So it'll be a hearing in front of you guys next month. So it's essentially, just real quick, it's 4 plus or minus 1 acre lots and an alleyway coming off of Monroe down the middle. And they've identified it as, they intend to develop it for multifamily. And the developer wants to develop a couple of the lots himself but he also wants to sell some of the lots to fund his development. But the intent is for it to be built to apartments. Any questions on the periodic update stuff? So, yes, sir.
Well, I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you because I think last week in the newspaper, it said that the aquifer in the lower valley sinks 2 to 3 feet a year. Are they, is conference of government thinking of doing anything about that?
So there is little that we can directly do. What we can do as far as this periodic update process and things like that is we can look at having goals and policies. So that's part of the climate element conversation with the lowering of the aquifers and water quantity. We can look at some sort of conservation practices. There's the opportunity to have things where we're encouraging the city to pursue additional water rights, so we can drill to deeper depths to get to different aquifers that you may not have water rights to at this time. But I don't think there's much we can do from the aquifer sinking, because a lot of it is that agricultural use that we see throughout the valley.
Well, I know that in California, in Palm Springs, they actually inject water into the aquifers.
Hmm.
They've got a pretty good sized stream that goes into that.
Oh, interesting. Well, I know, so
I think that's all from the Colorado.
there's, so I guess keeping it high level, there is, like, we all know that when it rains on the ground, it ends up in the rivers and things like that. That hadn't been legally proven until recently. You need the courts needed a study showing that groundwater and surface water levels are connected. And there was a court case that came out of one of the Washington Superior Courts. I think it was Whatcom County. It's called the Hearst decision. And what happened is the farmers all sued the county. I don't know if it's the Farm Bureau or what, but they sued the county because the county was issuing the exempt well permits for homes in the countryside. And they won the lawsuit because it's an exempt well, meaning that it doesn't need a water right permit or water right to allow the well to be drilled. However, there are provisions that the county wasn't doing, and most counties weren't doing, is that water needs to be shown to be physically available, which if you drill deep enough, you find water, but it also has to be legally available. And because the Yakima River Basin is over appropriated, they gave away more water than exists. That's why we have water, junior rights are at 43%, I think. And the senior rights still get their full allotment. So water rights are first in time, first in line. So the farmers typically have the more senior water rights. So the counties, because of that decision from the courts, Yakima County specifically created its water resource system or water permitting system, where if you're building out in the unincorporated area and you're drilling a well, there's certain areas you cannot drill a well because they don't have water rights to offset your withdrawal. So there may be, I guess, long story short, there's stuff in play in order to reduce the withdrawal of the aquifer unchecked. As far as adding water to it, I'm not sure. If it's something where different water rights can be obtained, there may be opportunity to use different sources, or eventually, if it's something where instead of a well, maybe there's potential for a surface water right to the Yakima River. So you could have, like what Natchez in the city of Yakima do, is that they pull water from the Yakima River.
I don't think we can do that.
But I mean,
Yeah.
in time, maybe though, like if there's opportunity, that's something that could be
It could
explored.
be, but they, a few years ago, they compromised with the Indians, and there's gonna be a certain amount of water that
Right.
that stays in that basin.
Right.
And I sort of agree with that.
Yeah, but, and I guess that might be where, say, Mampton has a lot of water rights, but they're well water rights, but if you don't have enough production from your wells to use all those water rights, it may be something, and this is all hypothetical. I don't know what kind of lawyers would need to be involved and tribal stuff and state stuff and all of that. But as far as water resources, I know that there are opportunities to convert groundwater rights to surface water rights and back and forth. Because if you got surface water rights, you wouldn't be pumping water out of the aquifer. So the idea would be that that water would be returning to the river naturally anyways. And you would just be diverting from a certain location, groundwater. So
Whatever I
balance.
think, but in the future, I think, the whole valley is gonna be thinking of
Yeah.
more. Okay,
Absolutely.
the second question I have, I was thinking, the last meeting we had, there was, one presentation to build, a development right off of 22. That one development,
Should
and
it
they had it platted out, you've seen the map on that. And there was and there's no alleys in this, they said, but there is a road that goes south on the property, makes a U-turn and comes back. And there's houses on both sides of that. Okay, my only question is that U-turn, will it accommodate school buses and fire trucks?
So, so the U-turn, so the cul-de-sac, so
Yes,
Genoa's Paradise, those have to be, there's a requirement that they be a certain size to allow fire trucks to turn around in them. And I would imagine if the fire truck can do it, the school
The
bus
school
would be
bus
able
would
to.
do it, yes.
It's, what is it, Fire Apparatus Access Road Standards, I believe is
I
what
don't
it's
think
called.
we wanted to put them in the position where they would go into that road and have to back up.
Right.
Is there gonna be a road that connects high school with 22?
I don't-
All the way through.
Oh, you can't do that.
I don't believe so. I think 22 is probably a limited access facility there.
Yeah,
So that's probably always just going to be a dead end road there.
well,
and
that was,
Railroads there.
that's one of the, I thought it would ask.
Yeah, ask please. Yeah, that's one of the design centers, one of the things that we look at, and it's important for not only just residential development, but all sorts of development, making sure emergency vehicles can get in and out. Because if there's a large fire and emergency personnel are coming in to fight the fire and the people are trying to leave, you're not going to want a roadblock, right? So we need to make things sized appropriately to allow vehicles to come and go.
But you're hearing, like the one person on the, off of Euclid, that property, and I see it's been clean. Somebody, I don't know, it's not farm, but it's clean, and that guy says, I'm ready to start building. Well, I keep looking for a building.
So the way that the process works is the stuff you've been seeing and having hearings for are the preliminary plats. So it's what they're proposing to do, and the way that the staff reports are laid out is we review what they're proposing against what the city's development standards are. So that's why those staff reports are 10, 15 pages long, and it's looking at things like minimum lot size, access to a road, road improvement standards, all these different things. And there's the analysis, and at the end, you have the recommendation, whether it's approval or denial. And if it's approval with conditions. And those conditions are what needs to be done so they minimize the impact to the community and the neighborhoods. And they're given 5 years to meet all of those conditions. So they just got, because the developers aren't going to get in front of themselves and start hiring engineers and things like that to start designing the roads and your stormwater and everything. So they wait for that preliminary plat approval and what standards they're going to need to meet before going to their engineers. So right now they're in all of the engineering stage for those improvements. So they design everything. They give those designs over to the city, And in Mapton's case, Gray and Osborne's your engineer, and Gray and Osborne would review those engineering designs to make sure that it matches what your development standards are and any of the state standards and so forth. And once they get the thumbs up for that is when they start going in and making those improvements. So prior to them being able to sell lots generally, they have to have all of those infrastructure improvements done. So they need to have access to water and sewer and fire hydrants and everything like that. And once all of that's been installed and the roads have been paved, they come back with a final plat showing where everything as is. So they built the water and the sewer and it's at 4 feet deep and it's at this kind of flow rate, so on and so forth. And we see that final plat, our city council sees that, and it's just essentially, you tick the boxes. Okay, the road's supposed to be 30 feet wide with sidewalks on both sides. Is that done? Yes. They were supposed to do water and sewer. Ray Osborne, do you have your inspection report saying that it was done to your standards? Yes. Check, 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 check. Done. Final plat's approved. It gets recorded at the county. One lot becomes 21 lots, and they can start pulling building permits or selling them or whatever they want to do. So it's involved. It takes time, but they're on their way. We were speaking with Jamin earlier today about some stuff, and he said that some of the engineers have been reaching out to them for those developer standards and some clarification on things. So the wheels are turning on developing those lots. Onto the climate element stuff. Okay. So with the climate element, what we're trying to do is create some ways to build resiliency into some of our community assets. Oh, did you already get it? Oh, perfect. Oh, okay. So, the requirement of the climate element, climate element is split into different sectors. So, are you bringing it up?
Okay, we're missing one. This packet over here, given to one. Thank you.
So we have 11 different sectors. Those are the black dots. The open dots are the list of community assets, or at least categories of those community assets that I've identified as being important to the community. And this isn't finalized yet. I'm seeking input from the Planning Commission. If these work for you, I'll be asking council if we make changes to the list, I'll bring that list in front of council and get them to finalize it and say that they're okay with it and make any changes. But from this list, I'm hoping to narrow it down to hopefully one, but we could have two, but we would be creating goals and policies to create resilience to impacts from the changes that we're seeing. So the extreme heat, wildfire, things like that. So an example, under agriculture and food systems, I have agricultural production and agricultural storage. So if those are important to the community, I'll take this and then create goals and policies for the different hazards that are there. So we have, I mentioned the extreme heat and the wildfire, but it's things like precipitation patterns changing, drought. There's flooding. I mean, you're not really that close to the Yakima. I don't think you have much floodplain, if barely any in the community, but things of that nature. So we can have something on the shelf that we can take down and use because with the climate element, the way that the funding source works is, the city's allotted a certain dollar amount, and whatever's left over from creating the climate element can be used to implement those goals and policies. So if it's something where, buildings and energy, municipal buildings, say you have very high power bills, well, we could say we want to, look at power generation, putting solar panels on the roof to offset those specific power bills that you may get, or the police station, or the wastewater treatment plant, or something like that. So a goal might be to, reduce power consumption for municipal buildings, and policies would be, identify opportunities to install, solar panels on the roof of municipal buildings and that sort of a thing. So when we have opportunity to apply for other grants that are out there, we can say, well, our comprehensive plan, our climate element, we have goals and policies specific to pursuing solar generation for city-owned buildings and facilities. Another example, City of Sela, you may have seen where they had that wildfire about a month or so ago. I was speaking with their public works director, and just like, holy cow, like that must have been really scary. 2 homes were lost, other ones were damaged. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. And he was explaining to me how he was on the phone with Pacific Power because their thing lately has been to cut power during wildfires. So, the power lines don't drop and spread the wildfire or anything like that. And he was asking them, it's like, please don't cut power, because we need that to run our pumps in order to have enough water pressure for our hydrants on the top of the hill. So one of the things may be through this process, identify that as a priority for them and work at getting plans drawn up to have generators installed at where they have their pumping stations, so they can keep water pressure high during a power outage. City of Wapato, the police chief there was talking about how they don't have a independent power source, so they're looking at getting a generator for the police station in case there's power outage, and then also looking at fuel tanks so they can fuel their own cruisers and emergency vehicles at the station rather than having to go to the Wolf Den or whatever they do right now.
Well, as I drive up that road, is Wapato schools digging their own wells?
I do not know.
I've seen a drill rig there in 2 or 3 different places. And I was wondering, because Wapato really has all this nice green play areas.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that I believe that they had a bond measure for a new combined school this last fall, and I believe it passed. So I think that they may be just doing geotechnical analysis for that, but I could be wrong. I'm not in tune with what those drill rigs are intended for. But that kind of gives you an example of where we're trying to go. So this is just which community assets are important in each of these areas. So then we can make sure to, try and craft language where we can work on protecting them. Do I need to get to the basement? I grew up in Wisconsin, so that was the tornado. I don't know.
Fire is.
Oh, it's, they have a fire meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when I was a kid, that was the tornado alarm. So everybody was like, get to your basements or get under your dining table. So I know we wanted to keep it to an hour, so I'll try and be quick. For the agriculture and food systems sector, I have agricultural production and agricultural storage. So that's something where, when there's power outages and it's agricultural storage and it's a cold storage or controlled atmosphere, trying to figure out solutions for having that emergency power generator, or if it's something with extreme heat, stuff about insulation maybe. I mean, we're really at the infancy of this, but those are the two community assets that I had identified. I'd be willing to add or strike or change anything.
Let me understand what you're asking, because it's a little overwhelming on the information end. So, are you asking us to choose among this list? Or is this a comprehensive list that you're going to address?
No, there was a more comprehensive list that was developed.
Oh, I don't need more. I'm asking
so
what
this
you're
is-
asking of us.
So this has been narrowed down from that comprehensive list.
Okay.
So I'm asking for the planning commission to buy off on this abbreviated list. So I can start identifying goals and policies for these types of community assets.
You're asking us to.
Right.
So is this
Well, we
sufficient?
never had agricultural storage around here.
I mean, I'd like answers now. It doesn't need to be right now. It's something where, if you wanted to go through these, I do need a response. I do need you moving forward, but it's something where we could have a quick discussion and then put it on agenda for September 18th.
So you're basically, I think, asking us if this list is sufficient.
Yes, if this list is what you believe is important to protect from impacts due to
I
climate.
have a comment or a question on the agriculture, the first one.
Yes, sir.
The agriculture in this area is done by the farmers. They supply their own storage and so on and so forth. The city of Mapleton itself, correct me if I'm wrong, is not involved in agriculture, and they certainly don't need cold storage and protection and all of the rest. Is that true?
Correct. And it's not.
Wouldn't that be incumbent on the farmers to supply their own cold storage?
It is, so these aren't necessarily city
Yes, which ones
operated.
are important to us, and which ones are not. I don't
To-
see where that would be important to Mapleton if we're not involved in farming.
So looking at, I mean, there really isn't much for within city limits, agriculture and food systems.
Warehouses or anything?
No,
Like,
we don't
look-
plan to.
No.
I was looking at that place over south of 22. That's where the farm or the flower farm was. And that's a big agricultural building. So I was just thinking, because I mean, the state law is that we have goals and policies for each of these sectors. So under agriculture and food systems, I mean, I could strike this and put a grocery store, you know, or a food bank or something along those lines. Because ideally what it is creating a pathway to provide resiliency. So if it's a grocery store, I seem to be, you know, high-ended on the power outage stuff. So, but if it's like a grocery store and they have a bunch of refrigerators and freezers, backup power generators, you know, making sure that they can keep food, safe if there's an extended power outage and
The
stuff like that.
city would supply that generator for the
Nope.
store instead
Nope.
of the store owner.
Nope, it's just what is important to the community. So in your existing comprehensive plan, you have policies like, ensuring there's housing for all segments of the population. That doesn't mean the city is going to build housing, just means that there's going to be, regulations that you're going to allow housing to be built. So this is just a way where we can provide support and allow, people to be able to do those sorts of things, those private businesses, those individuals, where they may not have it on the books right now, or they may end up having to do things fly by wire rather than having something identified for them.
Well, the most important thing right here for me is, you probably already know, the water system,
Mm-hmm.
the cleanliness of the water. You know, it's, you get up in the morning, a lot of kids are going to school, and there's no modern sidewalks in Mapleton.
Right.
Very few. There is in the main part of town, but on the side streets, there's none. For waste management, that's sort of interesting because a few years ago, we had that gone through and they increased the capacity of that plant. And it would be interesting to keep up on that. And the resources. You know, that guy from Green Hawthorne said they were gonna do a test well the last meeting.
So I spoke to him about that today, where the three of us did. Yep, the test well's been completed, and I think in the next week or two is when they're going to do the test pump and see what production on the well is.
That'd be interesting. That's what I was interested.
It's behind that race course. It's already done.
Let's see. Just looking for the bigger list that I had. Let's see, there's.
Ecosystems make any sense, the second bullet anyway. Parks.
Park
Park
trails,
does.
campgrounds, yeah.
Trails, campgrounds and open spaces, we got parks. The rest of it.
Right.
If somebody could do an RV park.
So, I or Jerry, if I were to email you something real quick, could you put it on the screen? Yeah, I just sent it. So, what I sent is the longer list. And you can see there were 11 different things and I just narrowed it down to 2. Because it's easier to pick from 2 things than it is from 11 things. But it was agricultural production, agricultural processing, produce storage, agricultural markets, community gardens, home gardens, food delivery services, food banks, food drives, grocery stores, and EBT food stamps, those programs and access locations. Hopefully it shows up before too long. It was a pretty small document. But if and it's something where we can put something on this list that wasn't on that first list. It's not too late to add things. But the end goal is the community asset or 2 that's most important to the city within each of these sectors. And a community asset doesn't need to be a physical structure. It can be like a Meals on Wheels program or the EBT food stamps or something like that. Making sure that, when it's really bad snowy day or extreme temperatures, that if the school district hands out free meals to kids or something like that, that we can make provisions to allow that to continue to happen. Parks and recreation, it might be, or something where want to look at some sort of splash park that allows kids to be outside and remain cool, due to that. So there's opportunities. I think I saw it there.
You did, for a brief moment.
I always think it's interesting when you text or email somebody that's right next to you and see how long it takes.
I don't know how the other members feel, but I prefer to look at the expanded list because it seems to me, just an impression, that for example, with agriculture, the two selected are not appropriate. So if you give me the expanded list, then we can say which of these are appropriate
Okay,
or doable,
okay, yeah,
okay?
Mhm.
So can we do that for September?
yes,
That's delightful.
yes, yeah, September 24th. We're having, so we have a climate policy advisory team, so we're going to be working to bring a whittled down list in front of them. Because the policy advisory team is a lot of the public works directors. There's an individual from Fish and Wildlife, Department of Ecology, some engineers and things like that are more of the professionals from some of these different things that can provide that technical guidance. But what I'm seeking, because you're going to know your community better than I do. So I'm leaning on the planning commission to provide me feedback on what's important to the community and what we want to protect.
Yeah, I don't expect us to say we want all 11 or 19 or 20, but if we have the expanded list, we can choose the most relevant.
Yes.
We give you two that,
You got ecosystems like the trails, campgrounds and opens. That's not appropriate for us.
Okay.
Parks, we have parks. We don't have any trails or
yeah, from-
campgrounds.
Well, and it's, I mean, it's a generic list.
Well, I think we ought to protect the parks that we got.
Yes.
oh, yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely, but there's other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, in the list, it has things like a golf course, and I don't think Hampton has a golf course.
No.
No,
No.
no.
Maybe you want one. Who knows?
There used to be one on the other, right on the other side of the river. What would be northwest
Oh, really?
on the other side of the river, there's. I don't know how long ago. Eons ago. Yeah.
Eons ago.
So my ask of the planning commission then, and staff would be, please forward the more comprehensive list to the planning commission. And on the 18th, please be prepared to have a conversation and narrow that list down.
And how exactly did you want us to respond to you? Pick the list and check it off, highlight, how do you want us to respond?
Whatever works for you guys. We don't necessarily need consensus, but
Individually or as a commission?
as a commission. Because I'm hoping for one, maybe two community assets to have, because that's what we're going to be writing the goals and policies for. And I don't think we have the capacity for goals and policies for 11 of the community assets. We want to focus on one, because it's stuff that's supposed to be able to be implemented. So if we have 11 different things, it's hard to prioritize within that. So I'm looking for maybe your top three.
So
That-
we need to get together as a group, go through this list, this comprehensive list, check off the things that's important to us, combine that into one sheet of paper and give it to you.
Right. Yeah, and it might be something if you want to rank them and then compare your rankings and whichever one has the highest score or the lowest score, I suppose, is if you're like number one sort of a
Well,
thing.
we
would
do
be
that in a
priority.
group and put you one document.
Yes, sir.
That's what you're looking for.
I
And you
mean,
want that when?
so September 18th is the next planning commission meeting.
You want it before that or by then?
We can have a conversation about it on that day.
Because we would have to do it before that date.
Yeah, so if maybe what we can do right now is identify how you guys want to have a uniform ranking system and scoring.
The list.
And Marty and Jerry will get that to you. But it's just because there's a
So we
list.
can Go home and do our little thing and then get together as a group and combine.
Yeah, like if you wanna,
And we're gonna get together and combine it when?
I'll leave that up to you.
Before the 18th.
If you, yeah, I think that's what makes sense.
I think it'd be better if we just get it, work together.
Right,
Yeah.
Pass it along.
right. I
to
agree.
each one of,
That's
you
what I'm
know,
trying
then
to figure out.
everything's gonna be,
How are we gonna facilitate this
Yeah,
whole thing?
that's the only one
This answer, why I-
of these.
We can do a special meeting if you guys would like to do that, just discuss it,
Yeah.
go over it. If you guys wanna choose a date that works best for you.
Okay,
Okay.
so September 18th, the next meeting.
if there, could you get a table in here that we can sit around? So it'd just be us five and
Definitely, I
get our heads together and do this.
That's what it used to be. Howard,
Yeah, yeah, we're like,
so you just-
oh,
you had a table with the new stuff.
right, right. right. Do you wanna keep it Thursdays or do you care? Sounds like nobody cares. Okay. So, September. What's
What's-
that, do Monday,
What's the Thursday before or what?
11th? Does that sound good?
6 o'clock right here, with a table and chairs right
Yes,
down there in the middle.
yeah.
We'll have the list, we could go through it, instead of trying to do independently, we can
yeah,
get our brains
Get it
together,
done.
do one time,
okay,
instead of 5 times, then have to go through it another 5 times.
yeah,
I think that'd be better.
I do,
Yeah, I bet you why not?
yeah,
If it's convenient.
yeah.
yeah.
And exactly how condensed do you want this list to be?
Ideally, I'd like 1 or 2 assets per sector. So the sectors are where it says egg and food systems, buildings and energy, they're in the individual boxes there,
Yeah.
you can see them. They're
Yeah.
broken out by those sectors.
What if the whole sector?
You have to have one. The state law requires
Hey.
sector state, and you have to,
One important item within each sector.
yep,
Okay, I just wanted to understand
Yep.
what we're supposed to do. We
Yeah.
can make it comprehensive. Much more bigger.
Yeah, but these two were not options, and I wanted to know what are the options?
50 sectors. Okay, you better be there because you're in charge. You're in charge of condensing sector.
I'm the sector condenser.
I'll find a badge. Or trophy.
Okay,
Here,
so the 11th.
Brett.
How many does it take to have a quorum? I might be out.
Tinker, I'll go to your house.
We'll be in Golden Dale before you know it.
Alright,
9/11 at what time?
6.
Oh,
Right here, the table and chairs,
You're gonna notify us again, right?
just us.
Yep.
I will forget.
Yeah, we'll send you 2 notices.
And please feel free to reach out with any questions that you have.
Sanders meeting on what's the date?
11.
September 11th,
Sanders meeting on the 11th.
right. And so are you.
Supposed to be. What kind of an emergency?
Just reschedule it.
Reschedule my emergency?
Yes.
Well, that's all I had for you this evening.
Sounds good.
Is there any questions that you have of me? Anything? We'll see you in about a month with a condensed
Join at
list
7, you're adjourned at 7:10.
and a hearing on a subdivision. We'll do those 2 things. So the hearing on that 8-lot subdivision and then the condensed list discussion.
8 lot subdivision, that's over behind our folks.
Yes, sir. That's the same property that we did the rezone for.
Thank you.